And we're back. Really letting my professionalism shine through there by having the video cut out halfway through what I was saying. Pretty impressive of me. So I got to Valkyrie Profile 2 for the PS2. Amazing art style, supposedly really good RPG, again by Square Enix. On the PS2, I wouldn't know because I kind of booted it up, thought it looked amazing, and then realised I didn't have like 90 hours to burn on an RPG. In hindsight, maybe I should buy fewer RPGs, but I don't know, this looked really good. Yeah, supposedly it is. Again, if anyone's interested in this, okay, that explains where Left 4 Dead 2 is. Sorry. If anyone's interested in this, it is available for trade. Like I say, any game, any console. If you think it's interesting or know it's interesting, just drop me a line and I'll say, hey, let's do a trade. Yakuza, the original for the PlayStation 2. Yes, it cost me $1.95, so again, I don't expect the world for this. It's a really fantastic, incredibly Japanese game. Again, primarily it's like a beat 'em up with some role-playing elements. You do level up your character a little bit, but you just learn new moves. It's the story that sort of drives you to play this, and it is a fantastic story. And this is the only Yakuza game released outside of Japan. No, we finished that. The Yakuza game released outside of Japan that has English voiceover. It's not very good English voiceover, but it is there, so it's a good starting point for the series for those obvious reasons. And again, I recommend it. It's a whole lot of fun. If you're a Megaman fan, then Megaman Network Transmission could be the game for you. This is, I don't know what the hell this is. It's really strange. They basically combined the gameplay of the Battle Network games, I think it was, for the Game Boy Advance at the time, with a little bit of traditional side-scrolling Mega Man action. There's some platforming in there, but there's also some 3D elements, kind of like, again, what was in the Network Battle Transmission games. It's just a really interesting hybrid. I mean, the platforming elements aren't up to the usual standard of Mega Man, but if you're really into the series like I am, this is just such an interesting game to own. Here's another quality game. Wave Race Blue Storm for the GameCube. I think this is actually, for some reason, picked up from an American store. Yeah, this is a fantastic game for the GameCube. I think this is a launch title. All the Wave Race games are really good. Again, it's just a whole mess of fun to play. I mean, I don't know what else you can really say about this. Most people either know what this is or already own it, so. What else do we have here? Bomberman Generation. Probably not such a favourable title. I really like the Bomberman games, and this was, I think, the first jump to 3D on the GameCube at least. I think these were developed exclusively on the GameCube. There was Bomberman Generation and Bomberman Jets, which is based on either a Japanese or American cartoon, or potentially both. It looks really Japanese, so I imagine it is. This one, largely the same as Jazz. Gameplay is a whole bunch of fun. It's ideal for like kids and stuff. The multiplayer's fantastic as always. And yeah, if you're into Bomberman, it's definitely worth owning, because like I say, it wasn't exclusive for the GameCube, and there weren't that many exclusive games for the GameCube. Final Fantasy VII, Dirge of Cerberus. Now, I'm kind of amongst the few that haven't actually finished Final Fantasy VII, but I'm still really into that world and that sort of story and what have you. So I did want to play this, and I did actually play it to completion. I mean, it doesn't compete with things like God of War or what's a third-person action game with guns? Devil May Cry, anything like that. But at the same time, if you're really into the fiction, it's got a fantastic soundtrack. The story's complete nonsense, which I imagine most people will enjoy for the same reason I hate it. But yeah, it's just style over substance, really, and there's so much style. You can probably breeze through this if you're a fan of the series. It is worth owning. What else do we have? Okay, so the rest of these are PS1 games. So I'm just going to run down these quick, because most people know what these are. Driver 2, sequel to Driver 1, believe it or not. Oh No More Lemmings. Oh, sorry, Lemmings and Oh No More Lemmings, which is just Lemmings ported to the PlayStation 1 with the expansion pack. I guess it was an expansion pack, I don't know what they called it then. This is actually really good. It's a really good port. It's got all the original music, which a lot of the later Lemmings ports didn't, I imagine, for copyright reasons. Apparently the demand for London Bridge is falling down. It's quite large these days. But yeah, this is really good. It took me a while to track that down, actually, but I ended up getting the American version, which runs at in 60 Hz. and apparently that's how I like my Lemmings, so that one's up for grabs. Fear Effect, this is absolutely fantastic. How do you describe this? Again, it kind of fits into the survival horror style of gaming that you'd expect from like Silent Hill and Resident Evil, Parasite Eve 2, whichever was the one that was less RPG. But just production values on this are incredible. It looks fantastic, and it plays fantastic, provided you don't mind the sort of tank controls of those games. And from memory, I think it's a 4-discer. So have a look. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, not that vouchers for quality or anything, but I mean, there's a lot of FMV on it. And it's just, if you have a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 with backwards compatibility features, then this is really worth checking out because it's so interesting. Again, I haven't played through a lot of it, but just it's one of those games that when the minute you turn it on, you know it's something special. Let's have a look what else we have. Here you go, witness my pile of crap. Yeah, so the original driver, if anyone wants that. There's, no disrespect to those games, but they're pretty self-explanatory, and there's not much more to them than there is at face value. Ridge Racer R, Ridge Racer Type 4, which is, the fourth game in the Ridge Racer series, because apparently Ridge Racer is Ridge Racer 3. This is a really, really good game, and a lot of people consider it to be the best in the series. And what's really interesting about it is it comes with a disc, when the case isn't falling apart, called Ridge Racer High Spec Demo. And basically on this disc, when they were creating the technology for Ridge Racer Type 4, for some reason they took the time and effort to basically recreate the original Ridge Racer using that technology. As a result, it runs at 60 frames per second, or in this case 50 because it's the PAL version, and it looks a hell of a lot better than the original. I love the original, and this disc is worth owning Ridge Racer 4 for just on its own. It's fantastic. So if anyone really wants to see that, it's worth checking out. And like I say, Ridge Racer 4, arguably the best game in the series anyway. So that's definitely worth looking into. Games worth looking into. For some reason I have an extra copy of Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, the original. Again, fantastic 2D gameplay. I guess this was sort of retro at the time, and now it's extra retro? I don't know, holds up really well, visual style's fantastic, it's really funny, the gameplay is wonderful, definitely worth picking up, in the vein of sort of Flashback, Another World, those kind of games, but I don't want to say it, probably there. Here's a nice, terrible piece of crap, Fade to Black, on the topic of Flashback, which is the sequel to Flashback, put out by Electronic Arts, The Evil of the Earth, and wow, this is basically a very early 3D PlayStation game, and it really, really shows. It's interesting to play if you like Flashback, or if you're just interested in seeing on how 3D technology was developing at the time. Let me have a look at the date here. What do we got? 96, so still pretty early, but I mean, this was, at the time, really interesting, but it never really panned out. The controls are clunky, the graphics are terrible. If you can put all that aside and just, if you're a really big fan of Fade to Black, Flashback, it's worth a look. But 99p says it all. What else we have here? For some reason, I got a copy of Tekken 2. Tekken 2 is a wonderful game. Again, the PlayStation version is actually a lot better than the arcade version because they bundled in a whole lot more features, as I remember. Comes in, weirdly enough, it comes in one of these bigger cases, even though it's only got one disc, which is quite strange. I don't know what you can say about Tekken 2. It's absolutely amazing. And as I say, the home conversion is better than the arcade one, and that says a lot. It speaks volumes. I think there's enough time to squeeze in one more, so let's do it quick. Dino Crisis 2. Yeah, if you play the original Dino Crisis, it's Resident Evil Dinosaurs. So if you play Dino Crisis 2, I guess you'd expect the same thing, but the leap in gameplay between 1 and 2 is more akin to the leap in gameplay between something like Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 4. I mean, this is just a full-on action game. I think it even has like a combo system and a scoring system, which, for a Resident Evil game is really odd. Wonderful graphics, again, goofy voice acting, but it's a really good game, and as of all these, they're up for grabs. If you want any of them for trade, drop me an email, and we'll go from there. Thank you.